King's Dominion and Busch Gardens are probably the two most well-known amusement parks to be in the state of Virginia. But for the drivers today, the small town of Alton, Virginia, will play host to their roller coaster ride here at Virginia International Raceway. Hello and welcome to round 2 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, where up in the booth you'll find Peter Mackay next to myself, Nick Schmeg. Sean Crackers Ambrose will be directing for us this afternoon using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Last week, Gernot Frisch picked up where he left off on his championship run last season, taking home a dominant win at the season opener up at Watkins Glen. But heading south today to VIR, Frisch says he feels good about his chances at this Lazarus of a racetrack. But with competition ramped up this season, a win in the Lotus 79 is no easy task. It's proven to be a tall order to succeed in this car at a track that's popular like Watkins Glen, but VIR is going to be an all-new challenge that stumbles both the old and the new virtual racers. To get a better look at Virginia International, let's learn about it some more with help from the GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Virginia International Raceway. This track near the southern border of its namesake has had the rare blessing of being resurrected from the dead. With 2 decades of use in its modern incarnation and still drawing regular visits from IMSA and Trans Am, it's safe to say that VIR is back and thriving. The owners didn't skimp on refurbishing the place either. An impressive 7 versions are available to run on iRacing, with viewing areas that include posh villas near South Bend that can be rented by fans. The track's long and complex layout has earned it some colorful corner names too. The horseshoe kicks things off right away with a never-ending double apexer that tends to suck the greedy out into its runoff. Later on, fast cars lacking downforce are sent through the terrifying climbing S's and spit out of the steep drop of South Bend. Of course, there's perhaps the most famous turn of Oak Tree, which has sadly lost its eponymous flora in real life, but is retained here in the virtual world. Let's not forget one of the scariest obstacles at the end of the lap, the roller coaster. The incredible speed drivers carry up into this blind braking zone is what causes it to require such immense bravery in order to get the most out of a lap. As you'd expect, the high number of corners makes passing rather difficult. Add in the fact that many of them are dangerously swift, and track position can wind up being a major factor in races. With the picturesque backdrop of the Appalachians around them, fans are not left wanting when they come to watch drivers face off at this historic track. It's no wonder the circuit has found success in its second chance at life.
So there's a better look at Virginia International Raceway. We're using the full course today, and on that track guide, we saw some of the cars that run here quite a bit. We saw a couple of the IMSA cars, a touring car on there, and I saw that Mazda out there, Peter, making some laps in SCCA action. One car we didn't see was any kind of open-wheeled car. We don't usually see this kind of combination here.
Well, you're right. We don't see it often, but my goodness me, it is special to see an open-wheel car, particularly this Lotus 79 here at the wonderful Virginia International Raceway, which opens all the way back in 1957 when the Strickland brothers, 2 local farmers, basically drove around their land throwing sandbags out of the window of their Mercedes 300 SL, mapping out a race course. And the track opened in 1957, but sadly closed not all that long after in the early 1970s. And it was 2 real estate moguls, Connie Nineholm and Harvey Siegel, who reopened the track in 2000 and restored it to its former glory and much more, and turned it into the beautiful world-class facility that it is today. And I have to say, the combination of this flowing layout with this incredible ground effect Formula One car from the late 1970s is just a magic combination, which only sim racing can bring us nowadays. So the track itself is 3.27 miles with 17 turns, and today we're running the full layout, one of 6 different layouts that you can have here at VIR. And of course, we're not far from the town of Danville, which was the home to Wendell Scott, the first ever African-American NASCAR race winner.
Yeah, very cool. I believe we're also close to South Boston Speedway down here, Southern Virginia. That's a lot of NASCAR drivers have actually taken to the track here at VIR. They've actually named one of the corners here NASCAR Bend because they couldn't quite get that left turn right. So this track was new to them, and for all of the people that are watching out there today in this Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series broadcast that are new to the series, we've got some race details for you. before we get set to race today. It is round 2 of 13, that extra long season, and it's 26 laps, shrunk down from the 28 laps that we had last week at the Glen. Open setups as always, and Peter and I will be discussing some of the sketchy setup situations these drivers find themselves in later on. But incident point 17 is going to get you a penalty. 25 going to disqualify you from the server. Don't believe we'll see any of that today. Hopefully not. After Watkins Glen, we did have the drivers' points line up for the first time this season. Just quickly, Gernot Frisch is, of course, on top of that after winning there at the Glen. He's 10 points over Tomas Simon. Chris Baumann sits 4 points further back behind Simon, and Timo Vascalampi back 18 points from the leader. Jamie Hall in the mix up there as well. But Peter, the teams always get shuffled a little bit after every season here in the Lotus 79, so our team standings look a little bit different.
Yes, our team points, and you'll notice that you might recognise a lot of the team names, which of course were used in period in the late 1970s. So leading at the moment is Team Essex Lotus, fittingly, with 46 points. Second is the Albilad Williams Racing Team, just 5 points back. Third was the Parmalat Racing Team, that would be the Brabham Team, 6 points back. In joint third position is the Warsteiner Arrows Racing Team, a beer sponsor, that's always handy. And fourth is Candy Team Tyrrell.
Absolutely. Lots of, you can just see just how tight that is over there to start the season. There's even a tie for 5th place back there as well between Renault and McLaren. So pretty interesting stuff over there. These drivers love to race for a team's championship, just like they do in real life. And one of those drivers is Teemu Vascalampi, who has the provisional pole. He's on his second lap right now. And Peter, you can just see these cars absolutely whipping it around here at VIR.
These machines are just incredible. I mean, they really did change the sport forever in Formula One. You know, it was the car, the number 5 Lotus 79 that Mario Andretti took to his Formula One world title, and it was called the Black Beauty in the JPS livery. And Andretti said, you know, the Lotus 79, it just gave me everything I needed. It was such a big step forward, and right at the very beginning, we knew we had something big.
And on screen, we just saw Tomas Simon. It's given everything he needs right now because he just went to the pole by 0.4 of a second over Vascalampi. Frisch has yet to set a lap. We're watching Frank Tenkata, now Juan Micosta now, who had a great run at Watkins Glen, had a lot of pace there, and here we see him in 7th for the time being. Chris Baumann, another one who might be looking for maybe a dark horse championship run. He'll find himself up in 8th. I see Frisch set his lap time as well, but it's only good enough for 3rd. Thomas Torp here as well.
The Warsteiner car of Thomas Torp looks absolutely fantastic. There's some brilliant sponsors here. You have Warsteiner's beer and Parmalat, the Brabham car. That's actually a brand of yogurt, believe it or not. So you got all the treats. You got beer, yogurt, and then Candy Team Tyrrell. I'm not sure what Candy did, and maybe it's what the name suggests. But yeah, it looks brilliant on this particular car. And of course, you mentioned setup, Nick. That balance here at VIR is so tricky because you've got so many changes of direction, big downforce requirement, but then you've also got two actually very long straight. So it's just for our drivers to balance having the car really trimmed out, as Tomas Simon in the number 2 sets the fastest lap. But yeah, trying to balance that is so tricky.
Yeah, it certainly is. Here's Laust Olsen, and we'll get a little bit of that here. You can see just on that long straightaway, you want that car to be trimmed out, of course, on a straight line. You know, not too much elevation change. There is quite a bit here, but in terms of the snake in the roller coaster, you really need the downforce to help you through. So we're going to see just how brave these drivers are back on the paddock in terms of engineering, because you really want that speed, but you also want that grip as you whip this car around here. Here's Gernot Frisch ending his 2nd lap. It is a 1:37.2, not good enough to improve. He's actually going to fall to 4th, though, because Chris Baumann, out of nowhere, has gone to the top of the board.
Seriously impressive lap, just nicking pole position by only 200ths of a second. Fantastic from Baumann there. And of course, here at VIR, Nick, the way that the layout is, track position is vitally important, because really your main opportunity to make a move is at the probably into turn one at the end of the front straight, and going into the roller coaster at the end of the back straight.
Qualifying coming to a close, and that's going to do it. Chris Baumann is going to have the pole position here at VIR in the number 7 car. He's going to be starting alongside the 2 of Thomas Simon, Teemu Väskylampi, and Gernot Frisch. Watch out for row number 2. They are going to be hot and coming up quickly. Mike Rasmus is back in 5th with Freyten Kott right beside him. Andy T and Alex Millward going to make up row number 4, with 9th and 10th going to Juan Micosta and Thomas Torp.
In 11th would be Edmund Blackadder in the 20 car. 12th will be Pekka Kelahara. Row 7 will have Tobias Roner and Paul J. Williams. Row 8 will have Paolo Alberton and Derek Rolleveld. Row 9 will be Michael de Turk and John Stevens. And row 10 will be Ivan Deadio and Sven Torreduas.
Pablo Suarez and Keith Herner right behind, with Jason Carlo and Christopher Thiele back in 24th. Warren Chamberlain and Jean-Francois Boscas back in 25th and 26th. Row 14 going to go to Sean Wiltshire and Robert Simpkins. Laust Olsen and Steven Sarles will round out the top 30.
Finally, rounding out the end of the field on row 16 will be David Sanchez, Adnan Devdaresvik. Row 17 will be Renan Carreno and Jason Ashfield. And finally, 35th, Lauren Doolittle.
You literally can't have more cars in a Lotus 79 race here on iRacing. It is a full field here today at VIR, and it's going to be full of action and excitement, and most importantly, competition. And wow, look at that weather. A very high track temperature, 110 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, hot Virginia day. That's going to make it really, really slick for our drivers. Here we go then, Nick.
Lights are up, and Chris Baumann is going to be away, but it's going to be a bad start for him. Some inexperience from the front row, as they already are spinning aggressively behind the big crash back there. Tomas Simon is going to take the lead into the first turn. He's going to have the outside now, cuts down to the inside, shuts the door, but we're side by side for second between Baumann and Väskylampi. Mike Rasmus is back because he's gotten around in front of Frisch, who is falling back. He's back behind, right in front of Juan Micosta, who spins off himself.
Yeah, there's a few drivers spinning off there. Very easy to do here at VIR. It's very, very tight and narrow, and a lot of cars trying to go 2 and 3 wide. But it's a brilliant breakaway here from the number 2 car. Fantastic stuff. And just coming through here, through what's called the snake, left, right, you're really relying on all that wonderful ground effect downforce from this Lotus 79.
Sounds like that was Alex Millward, the first driver that went off, so a big name taken out here early. We'll take a look at that later. Right now, by the old oak tree, it is Chris Baumann, who is following Tomas Simon, who has gapped him a little bit, almost a full second lead just off of this first lap. But a battle for third, Teemu Väskylampi, Mike Rasmus, and Gernot Frisch kind of sitting in the popcorn position. It's odd to see him so far back in 5th place.
Yeah, Thomas Simon, he's got an opportunity here to really try and make a bit of a breakaway. And if he can make the break, that makes a lot of his race much, much easier. But if he makes even the slightest mistake, that will allow the rest of the field to catch up with him. And of course, once you get into a group, it's very hard to break away from that group with how important the draft is with these Lotus 79s.
Lap 1 concludes with Simon taking the that lap lead. Väskylampi we ride on board with now. He's up in 3rd place after starting there, but he's got a full rear view mirror full of Mike Rasmus and Gernot Frisch. Rasmus started back in 5th, and he's up there challenging for 3rd now.
Great camera here from Dougie Beard, looking back, looking over the wonderful, iconic V8 DFV engine from the legendary tuner Cosworth. And these engines rev to well over 10,000 RPM and make one of the most beautiful sounds you will ever likely to hear.
These drivers are getting a full helmet full of that Beautiful sound right now. Once again by the old oak tree. Such a critical turn because it really sets you up for Madison Avenue, this long back straightaway where the draft in these cars is so powerful.
Yeah, that oak tree turn is just so important. Just that exit off it, just getting on the power as early as you can. Look at, yeah, the draft here is really important, and you can be really brave on the brakes, but you need to turn it back down there as you head down the roller coaster. Oh, goodness me. On board with Mike Rasmus on the quite traditional helmet cam here, basically just on the air intake going into the engine, and huge speed from these Lotus 79 Formula One cars as we head up over the start-finish line. And Thomas Simone in the number 2 car sets the fastest lap of the race, right on cue.
Yeah, we'll be seeing more and more purple laps throughout the day. These guys get faster and faster as their tires heat up. A little bit of dirt kicking up. That's from the back of Chris Bauman, who's really starting to hustle that number 7 car. He sees that he's in trouble. He is losing time to Simone and in a hurry. That is a 1.4 second gap now he's got back to him.
Yeah, but Bauman will be really, really frustrated about not quite getting it off the line. And yeah, it's just from pole position, just bogged down off the line. Of course, these classic Formula One cars, produced in the late 1970s, long before launch control was invented. So you've really got to be very, very skilled at getting these cars off the line well. But as he comes around Oak Tree, of course, that Oak Tree is not there anymore. It was blown down in a storm a couple of years ago. But this is a relatively old scan of the VIR circuit, as one of the Volkswagen diesel advertising hoardings attest to. But yes, that Oak Tree turn is it's an iconic part of this VIR circuit.
We have that wreck from lap number 1. Alex Millward, it sounds like, was involved in this one. Take a look here. This was not at the very start, but it was on lap 1 for Millward. See if we can see what happened to him through here. Maybe just went off by himself. Might not have it. I do know on lap 1 that Andy T. I know that Andy T and Frank Tenkata got together on lap 1. That was the car we saw spinning in the background, was Andy T, the 6th. Either way, Alex Millward sits down in 24th. Oh, we might have something here. Here's the very start at the grid. And you can see that contact there between T and Tenkata. Not quite sure what happened. They both just kind of came towards the middle of the track and into each other. And Andy T finds himself down in 23rd. Frank Tenkata even worse with that front end damage, down in 31st.
I wonder if it's maybe to do with Bauman was very, very slow to react. Not necessarily the launch, but he just didn't quite react to it. And I think that maybe checked everybody up, perhaps. It's hard to say, but it could be that was what happened there.
Yeah, so that inside line was kind of stalling out at the start. One line that's not stalling out right now is still that battle for 3rd place. Teemu Voskalamppi has been under fire this entire race so far. He's working lap number 4. He's still got Rasmus and Frisch behind him. Peter, is it just me, or are those gaps getting a little bit wider in between them?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong there. They are spreading out here, but the in terms of the teams championship, those Candy Tyrrells are looking pretty good right now in those blue and red cars, which look very, very nice indeed. And of course, I must be honest, I am a little bit biased towards Tyrrell because, of course, Jackie Stewart, a fellow Scot and sideburn enthusiast, won all of his 3 World Championships with Ken Tyrrell's team.
Can't blame you there. Seeing a little bit of a hiccup from Rasmus. He's got Gernot Frisch right behind him. And Frisch is the driver that I would be most concerned about in this battle, especially if I'm Mike Rasmus. There's only so long you're going to be able to hold on to that spot from what we know of Frisch. Oh, as they go a little bit wide there. Wow, so Friesch, like I said, this track likes to really stumble the old and the new drivers, and here we're seeing a perfect example of that.
Yeah, Gernot Friesch, our winner last weekend at Watkins Glen. I don't know about you, Nick, but it looked to me there as he was coming through South Bend, the car got very loose. We'll need to see how it performs on the straight, because as we were talking about, he might have that car trimmed out and maybe running a little less downforce to get more speed on the straights, perhaps.
Well, it looked like there that Rasmus was able to pull away a little bit on the straightaway. He definitely had more speed, though, getting onto the straightaway. So definitely the setup challenges that we talked about, certainly defining this battle between Rasmus and Friesch, it looks like. Ooh, sounds like Juan Micosta had another problem.
6. But not the gaps pretty steady out front, with Baumann now just 1.6 seconds behind, and of course round a lap as long as we are here at VIR. You never know. It could come back. Of course, as you alluded to, Nick, the tyres aren't necessarily the limiting factor here. It doesn't wear out its tyres too much, the Lotus 79. But concentration. These cars obviously incredibly powerful, incredibly fast, and require the utmost concentration to use all the aerodynamic grip to the most of its ability. And running 26 clean laps here around VIR is very tricky.
Yeah, definitely. We don't have to go there, but Juan Micosta and Jason Carlo got in a little bit of a scuffle as we see a little bit of a battle for, it sounds like, 9th place back here. This is Michael De Turk, who started back in 17th place. He finds himself in 9th. Great run for him. Tobias Rohner and Derek Rolleveld right behind him as well. Very similar to that 3-car battle we were just watching before for 3rd place.
Yeah, I think there's a few of the drivers who are just sitting and consolidating, just ticking off the laps, trying to find drivers around them that are sitting about a similar pace, and try and just keep their powder dry to the end. You know, as I say, VIR is one of these tracks that's so busy. You do get a little bit of a rest on the 2 straights, but after that, it's really fast and furious, up and down the gearbox, on and off the gas and the brakes, and it's really mentally tiring. So just keeping your energy levels up and not pushing too hard at this stage is quite wise, I would say.
Absolutely. Behind them, there is a train of 6 cars. It was 7, but Sean Wiltshire has just gone off through the roller coaster, and he is done for the day. This is Ivan Diadio up in 12th place, leading Svein Torre Duas, Pablo Suarez, Warren Chamberlain, Christopher Thiele, and Paul Williams. Just a little bit behind them is Jean-Francois Boscas, who is back in 18th. He's getting a good view of this, but we are seeing just a fantastic train of cars here. And a little bit of side-by-side between, it looks like, Chamberlain and Williams for 15th place.
They're all following the leader, pretty neat and tidy there. Of course, as I say, VIR, they're just all of a sudden, you're just going from left, right all the time. It's really having to work the wheel, work the brake, work the throttle hard. Now, Carol Shelby, who won the first ever race here at VIR in a Maserati sports car, he said 1 lap at VIR is like 100 laps at Watkins Glen.
Oh, and Mike Rasmus had a big issue through Oak Tree Bend. He went off and lost his spot. Lost a couple of spots, actually. This was an odd one. I'm not quite sure what happened here. Looks like it was all by himself, but I'm not quite sure what made that car snap. Maybe getting up on that curb.
Maybe just a little bit too hot. Maybe got onto the grass on the entrance to Oak Tree, perhaps. But then, yeah, just a little bit too hot. Got the grass. And that was it.
Yeah, it looks like that car was out of control before it topped that curb. Either way, a close call for Friesch, and Pekka Kalahari also got by him. So Kalahari moves into the top 5. Rasmus continues back in 6th. Car doesn't seem to have too much damage on it.
Well, I think he did well to keep it out the barrier there. Perhaps he either maybe put a wheel on the grass during the braking zone, and you're braking from very high speed in 5th gear there. But it also could have been that he maybe locked up on the brakes and had to try and ride the curb to try and make the corner. But yeah, able to get going and looks in good shape.
We're riding on board with Alex Millward now. He rides right now back in 21st, although he's on one heck of a ride. He's closing in on Adnan Dizderevic, and that is just one of many drivers he's been able to pass in the last few laps or so. Not sure what happened to Millward at the start. He did come into the pits and make a stop to get some damage repaired, but oh, and he's going to go by Andy T, who is off track there. A close call there.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to see when you see that puff of smoke up in front of you. You don't know if it's just a light lockup or a spin, and it turned out to be a spin, but all the drivers doing well there to avoid contact.
Yeah, Andy T just locking it up there, losing a couple spots, but a close call. Yeah, Millward on a tear. That's going to put him up into 19th place. Soon, he's going to be catching Jean-Francois Boscus, although he is 4.5 seconds ahead. And if he can catch him, then he's got that 6-car train that we were watching back for 12th place to worry about.
Oh, and there goes the McLaren up the inside there on the front straight. Sorry, Andy T, the Briton. Fitting that he's driving the Marlboro McLaren straight up the inside there into turn 1. Very impressive move indeed. And of course, that car looks absolutely fantastic. Just reminds you of James Hunt back in 1976.
Gonna jump back up to 9th place. This is riding on board with Tobias Rohner. Looks like he might have gotten into someone just a little bit in the front. Has a little bit of wing damage, but nothing too much. Michael De Turk still the driver he's chasing down. Derek Roeleveld still the one he's holding off. These are three drivers that have all made some very big moves from the front. De Turk up 8 spots, Rohner up 3 spots, and Roeleveld up 5.
Rohner in the Leighton House liveried car, the Lola. And of course, that Leighton House car was one of the first Formula One cars that Adrian Newey ever kind of lent his design genius to. And actually, that car, the car in the real world, it was owned by Le Mans winner Darren Turner for a number of years.
Very interesting. You see how powerful that draft is on that front straightaway. Oh, as the Turk's going to go wide into turn number 1, and that's going to allow Rohner to slip through. Finally, he'll get by him. But despite how powerful that draft is, like I was talking about, it took a bit of a mistake for him to get by. It seems like the passing here is really at a premium.
It is, yeah. You have to plan a move almost a lap ahead and just really plan where you're going to make that move. And turn 1 is a good place because it is quite off camber as well. So you can, it was quite a good example there where the car in front was just pressured and then had to run a little bit wide and got onto some of the tyre marbles and caused them to run wide and was able to get through. But you're right, the only other one as well is the roller coaster, though that sequence of corners at the end of the back straight is possible as we see, but the exit of this corner right here at Oak Tree is vital to getting that move done.
And again, we don't have to go there, but I can report as well, Freak Tenkata, who started up in 6th place, has gone off once again. He's sitting in the pits now with a lot of damage. So a lot of our front runners who started up in the top 10, like Tenkata, Juan Micosta, Andy T, and Alex Millward, find themselves having problems early in this one.
Yeah, shout out to our leader, Tamas Simone. He's the only driver underneath the 1 minute 38 mark. That is seriously quick as he's in this number 2 machine. I'm not sure which team this is, actually. I must apologise. It's a beautiful looking, simple livery, but very, very nice. But whatever colour it's painted, it's going like the wind.
I've noticed he's really not opening up that gap too much anymore. I think he's just trying to manage it right now. This is a track that, it doesn't care if you're leading or not. It'll bite you.
Yeah, he was identical in time there at 3:58.5, exactly the same as Bauman in that last time round. But yeah, you're absolutely right. 2.2 seconds, it might appear comfortable, but one mistake here at VIR, you can just be punished so hard. Of course, a part of this VIR circuit is just so beautiful to look at. It's got all these amazing large grass runoff areas, which are lovely to look at, but not so nice if you put one wheel off the track and you end up 200 meters down the other side. So it does give a quite unique challenge to other circuits.
I do know of one GSRC commentator / director that has spun a Lotus out of the lead here. I won't name him, but I do know it's possible. So Simone just going to take it very easy around here for now. He's got a comfortable 2-second cushion. We'll have to keep an eye on that to see if it shrinks. Same with that battle for 14th, as I saw one car off. David Sanchez had a bit of a spin. Back for 14th, Pablo Suarez and Paul Williams in a little bit of a battle for between themselves. And Warren Chamberlain just went off right behind him.
Good battle there coming through Hogpen. The driver's getting really close. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that particular GSRC staff member, Nick. Obviously, Joe Peak isn't so bitter about that incident because he's actually named his new dog Lotus. So he obviously doesn't feel too heavy-hearted about it.
And I should say that was the 49, so, you know, a little less downforce. Maybe a little more of a challenge in a couple of these turns. I think we can give him that one. A lot of shuffling between these mid-pack drivers I've been noticing, between 12th and 18th, or about through there. 12th and 16th, I should say. Now that pack seems to be getting smaller and smaller as drivers slide off the track a little bit.
So we've just had an update from Ossian Puaka, who's watching on his laptop at a gas station, and has said that the colour scheme on the leader is in fact a Formula 2 Ralt car. So excellent knowledge there from Ossian. So thank you very much for that little update.
So can we say that an F2 car is beating all these other F1 cars out there?
Yeah, it's a bit like the Fernando Alonso GP2 engine thing, isn't it?
There you go.
Oh, one car going off wide there onto the grass there. I'm not sure whether one of the red cars there just went onto the grass and now is parked up there, it looks like. I'm not sure who that was.
Oh. Yeah, I saw that on screen. Oh, that was David Sanchez. Sanchez, once again, he's having a couple of issues getting that car under control right now. He's been off track a couple of times in the last lap.
You have to be really careful in these Lotus 79s as well, because they obviously run so close to the ground, and when they have their aerodynamic side skirts, which give the car that revolutionary ground effect. But you can, if you ride the curbs too much, you can get floor damage here on iRacing, so you've got to be very careful about that.
Yeah, we see floor damage and suspension damage quite a bit in the Lotus 79. Here's Gernot Frisch, who is up into 4th after Rasmus had his issue. Rasmus has gotten back around Kalahara, by the way, for the top 5, for the final spot in the top 5. Here's a bit of a lap comparison between Frisch and our leader, Tomas Simon. Very interesting.
Not much in it at all, is there? But just Simone just had a couple of 3 faster laps in a row, and then he's just answered back again. So, it's hard to call. We've just gone past half distance, so still a long way to go in this race.
And you know, I don't know if the comparison between Simone and Frisch is going to do Frisch much good, but Frisch is certainly closing in on Vascolampi. I think maybe Rasmus was holding him up just a little bit here, and Frisch might be challenging for the podium here within a few laps, maybe within this lap. He's really closing in on Teemu.
Well, this is where the strategy comes in, because if you're Vascolampi, maybe you can think, well, Frisch is maybe a little bit faster than me, so maybe coming out of Oak Tree, just give him a little bit of room and then tuck in behind and try and get Frisch to drag him along. You know, how you work together, you wouldn't think so in such a competitive environment, but you can actually use the cars around you to your advantage. Of course, Last night we saw the Le Mans 24-hour event on iRacing, and actually how you work together in the draft with cars there is vitally important. And it's not much different here with these cars at VIR.
Prix is certainly getting a lot of time thinking back there, thinking about how he wants to get around Vascolampi. First, he's got to get up to him. These are two drivers that we saw go head-to-head quite a few times last season, especially late in the season. Monza was a prime example of that, where they were side-by-side for the lead on the last lap, and it ended up going in Frisch's favor. Vascolampi got turned around through Ascari and finished down in 5th place there. Let's jump back to 13th place, where we're still seeing a bit of a shuffle to these positions. Pablo Suarez is now under threat from Alex Millward, who has driven all the way up back through the field and caught him.
Yeah, Millward in that wonderful Fly Saudi Airlines Williams car. Of course, that was in the real golden era of the Williams Formula One team. With Patrick Head and Sir Frank Williams, and at that time Sir Keke Rosberg, father of Nico Rosberg, was just something else. And in fact, there's actually a guy who lives in Scotland who owns the car that Keke Rosberg won the Monaco Grand Prix in. What a very special piece to have.
And as these two drivers are side by side down into turn number 1, they're both going to get a bonus position because Ivan Diadio from 12th place spun out of the last turn here, out of hog pen. Still side by side between these two, though. Millward looking for a way around, and contact! It is Suarez and Williams coming together. That is going to send Suarez off the track, nearly back on track into Andy T. Let's take a replay. Quite a bit of action happened all at once. Pablo Suarez making contact with two different drivers here in two different turns.
Yeah, good work move from Millward there in the Williams colour scheme car. But the incident behind there, it kind of reminded me of Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher at Adelaide. bit of a pile up.
Oh, let's jump back up to 3rd place. It's Vascolampi under threat from Gernot Frisch. Vascolampi so threatened by this, he's having to cut the draft by weaving on the front straightaway. Gernot Frisch, the Red Baron, he is there and looking for that the final step on the podium.
Yeah, Frisch is starting to get a little bit impatient now, and of course, if he gets held up by Vascolampi any much longer, it's going to be really tricky for him to get any further than 3rd place, because Baumann, he's a full 4 seconds up the road, and with just 10 laps remaining, that's going to be a very tall order to close that gap. And as you see there, Vascolampi is he's no slouch through that opening sector or two. And as we head through here, this is completely flat out, all the way down to the bottom of the throttle there, as they head down towards Oak Tree, hard on the brakes, and you're turning and braking at the same time and trying desperately to get the best possible exit. But here comes Frisch now. He's right in the draft.
This is Frisch's best opportunity all race long. And let's see if he can pull in. He's closing, but does he have the room? He's going to jump to the inside. He's not going to be able to slip in underneath through the roller coaster. Vascolampi is going to hold on to that position for now. They're going to come down around Hogpen, and it'll be 10 laps to go to get things sorted out between these two.
Yeah, Vascolampi was very good on the brakes there. He needed to be. I'm sure he saw Fritzke in the mirror and just really was able to brake late, and Fritzke decided not to take a dive there. Of course, coming into roller coaster, you can hold the inside line going in, but then that puts you onto the outside line coming out. So it's a really tricky one. I thought Fritzke was going to go and take a dive in there. You can, as Willward proved, you can take a dive here at either NASCAR bend or at left hook, but you've got to have a big advantage, and you've really got to be aggressive.
Yeah, Vascolampi looks really strong through a couple of these technical turns, I'm noticing. That's allowing him to get this big launch onto both the snake and the back straightaway here. And, you know, despite all of the draft that Gernot Frisch is getting and the draft that he's able to pull in, that momentum that Vascolampi has, that little bit of a head start, I think that's what's keeping him up there in third.
Yeah, Vascalampi's very, very good coming out of left hook, all that way round through the snake as well. I wonder if maybe Vascalampi is running an ever so slightly higher downforce package because he was easy, definitely better on the brakes coming into roller coaster on the last lap as well. And so I wonder he might just be either that or he's just that little bit braver.
Well, you can see here this time into roller coaster, Frisch not having the opportunity he did on that last lap to get side by side with him. That is such a blind crest over there, that left-hander. And we've seen drivers make some attempts to there, but we've seen that more than often end up with one of the drivers at least spinning off circuit. So it is a very risky place to make a move as Frisch taking a little bit of a peek to the inside here. He can't quite get up there, but he's just testing the waters. He's just letting Vascalampi know that he's there.
Yeah, of course, remember this Prix, it was our race 1 winner at Watkins Glen, but this is a very, very different challenge indeed. I have to say, Nick, I love the first couple of sections at VIR, that flip-flop style, and in this car, it is just a dream. And if you're turning laps in one of these cars in a test session, you just can build confidence more and more and more. And actually, it's not an intimidating car, but it's a car that kind of encourages you, and almost it's like the bad influence on your shoulder. It's just telling you to go faster and faster and faster until you run out of talent before it does.
Definitely, and here you see just how close Frisch got through the Oak Tree Bend. Even with that closeness, though, it allowed Vascalampi to pull away just a little bit more. And now we're going to see how much slipstream he can pull in. What can he reel in here into the roller coaster? Is he going to have room? Is he brave enough? He's going to take a look to the inside and backs out at the last second. Teemu's going to hold on to third for one more lap.
This is excellent discipline from both drivers. Excellent discipline, skill, speed, everything. Really no unfair moves at all. No dirty driving, but brilliant action. And our drivers are making this look easy, but it really isn't. Fastest lap of the race, another sub 1 minute 38 lap for Thomas Simon, but Baumann on the last lap set his fastest lap, but only a 1:38.2. So Simon really controlling this well out front, as that's the closest. Look at this, Fritzen might take a move here coming into NASCAR Bend, but Vascalampi's been really good on defence, just keeping him behind, and he's really good through the snake. So, and of course it's just one line through there.
Not Frisch following that line closely. 8 laps to go, more like 7.5 at this point between these two.
Of course, a lot of the time at VIR, you're commentating on maybe a GT4 race or Skip Barber, but these cars devour the layout here at VIR, and they just gobble it up. They're just so fast, these cars. And you know, at the time, it was such a change. This car was 2 seconds a lap faster than the Lotus 78 that it replaced. And basically, when it came onto the scene, it was just the envy of the whole Formula One field. But of course, here in this Lotus 79 series, everybody gets to use this lovely Lotus 79 car. They don't have to be running around at the back in a slower model.
Well, these cars right now are anything but slow, and you can just see that speed's almost hurting them, I think, when it comes to this passing situation that they've got. As we jump back to Millward and Suarez. Oh, with trouble between the two. Suarez goes off. Millward hit him just into the roller coaster. We're going to take another look at this from above. Oh, no. Getting into the roller coaster. I think Suarez just got on the brakes a little bit earlier than expected for Alex. Sent him over there.
A bit of a shove there coming out of South Bend. That's a good demonstration of just how much real estate there is here at VIR. But I think Wilward maybe gave him a little push coming into South Bend. Let's have a look at this. Oh, maybe a bit of netcode actually, perhaps. Yeah. But that's a shame. But there was quite a lot of closing speed there.
Let's jump back to P3, where Frisch still following in the tracks of Vascalampi. And he's ever so close. That front wing tucked underneath that rear wing of the number 4 of Vascalampi, and he goes off track just a little bit, just enough for Prix to get a run on him. A little bit of lap traffic they've got to maneuver around. That's Steve Sarles who moves out of the way for him. But now Vascalampi's going to move back to the inside, almost through the grass to get back around him. They're going to go side by side down into the roller coaster. Who's going to give way? Nobody. Still side by side. Prix holding that inside. It switches back in favor for Teemu. And Teemu is somehow going to get that position back.
That is first-class sim racing there, folks. If you're watching this and you think that's easy, it is not. That is the very highest standard of race car driving here on iRacing. Fantastic from both men, fair and really firm. But Vascalampi got that. We talk about how critical the exit of Oak Tree turn is. Well, he just got onto the grass ever so slightly, and that actually, in a funny way, the fact that he made that mistake early, he was able to get behind Prix and then get the draft back again by the end of the straight, and then be really tough on the brakes. It just, I'm really, big respect. Look at that slide as well. That's late 70s Formula One there for you. I tell you what, Nick, I am loving this battle.
Absolutely. A little bit of leapfrog between the two. Vascalampi still on top of things amongst themselves. We do need to keep an eye. I've been noticing Chris Baumann has been closing in on Tomas Simon ever so slightly, and he's pretty close. It's less than a second now, and he's definitely got him in sights. This is for the race lead.
Simone must have made a mistake on the last lap. He's 1 minute 39.6 on the last lap, and his best is 37.9, so he definitely made a mistake. And Baumann doing a 1 minute 38 flat last time round.
Oh boy, so a battle for third and now a battle for first between Tomas Simon and Chris Baumann, and Gernot Prix has gotten around Vascalampi with a bold move once again. The outside of the roller coaster. Let's take a look at this. A little bit of leapfrog being played on the back straightaway between these two again. Vascalampi went defensive. Prix didn't care. He took that position away from him.
Yeah, that just all done at the roller coaster. That was where it all happened on the previous lap, but this battle's not done yet. Let's see. We get another look at the. This is back with the front runners. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, my apologies. It's with Prix and Vascalampi. So Vascalampi, he's got to do here. This is a bit of a motorcycle racing analogy. Troy Bayliss, former World Superbike champion, he always just said if someone went past you, even if they're quicker, you've got to try and snap back straight away, otherwise they'll break away. And we also saw it with Valentino Rossi in the 2008 Laguna Seca American Grand Prix with Casey Stoner. So Vascalampi's got to do that. He can't let Prix escape here. He's got to put a block pass on him, and he might be able to do that going into roller coaster once more.
They're going to have to be aggressive. We talked about just how competitive this series is. Well, here you go. Boys, have at it. Elbows are out all the way with 5 laps to go here at VIR in round 2 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series.
You see, there's so much debate about how the Formula One rules should be written to get better racing. Well, just bring back the Lotus 79. That'll do. It seems to be working. And go to VIR. You know, there's the VIR could host an American Grand Prix. There you go. You heard it here first, folks. Yeah, it would make a brilliant venue for it. Fantastic.
Lots of room.
So this is as Thomas Simon. Oh my word! Look at that lap time, Nick. 1 minute 37.7. So after making that mistake, that is. But look at the lap time of Baumann, because Baumann is close enough to be able to at least follow him. Whether he's getting any draft benefit, I don't know, but he's close enough that he'll be able to match his braking points and turning points. So this battle, as we hit lap traffic, and that might have been where Simon's mistake came from, this is all heating up all over the place.
2 bonus points for the fastest lap of the race as well. Baumann's already got 2 bonus points for getting the pole. He could get the full 4 with that fastest lap if he can go purple. Problem is that Simon with that sub 137 lap faster.
Simone got a big block there in the snake, unfortunately. As we go back, we've got 2 battles going on at once, both equally fierce. But yes, Simone, while we've got a quick moment of breath, Simone got held up in the snake by a lap traffic, and that has cost him so dearly. We'll need to see how that affects the lap time, but we're looking back from the gearbox of Gernot Frisch, looking back at Vascalampi, and we've got another lap traffic up ahead. This could be vital.
Maybe give a little bit of slipstream to Frisch himself to be able to pull away from Vascalampi. Well, it's not letting him do that very well because they are still nose to tail right down through the roller coaster.
Tell you what, Vascalampi is better on the brakes going into roller coaster, no question about it. So if he can, in the final lap, if he can get a good exit out of Oak Tree Turn, watch for him in that Parmalat Brabham coloured car. But back at the front, that gap sort of steadying out at 8:10, so Baumann wasn't able to take advantage of Simone getting held up by that lap traffic going through the snake.
Oh boy, things winding down here at VIR. Oh, and Baumann is off track. Baumann is in the grass. Just a little bit of a mistake through NASCAR. And that might be the mistake that Thomas Simone needed to ensure this win here. That cost him quite a bit of time. That gap just about doubled with that mistake. Oh no.
Yeah, you can tell he was really pushing well beyond. I mean, he hadn't been in the 1 minute 37s at all in the entire race, whereas Simon has had multiple laps in that region. So he was really pushing perhaps beyond what his pace is today. So we go back to the battle for the final spot.
Oh!
The podium is... Oh, Frisch has got wide! Oh my goodness me, my apologies folks for shouting there. Frisch got just a little bit loose on the exit, and actually I think Vascalampi had to come out of it a little bit there to avoid the contact, but he's in the draft now as they head up towards roller coaster. This is absolutely incredible stuff. Vascalampi goes past in the draft, hard on the brakes, but Frisch is able to tough it out. Will they make contact? No, they don't. Incredible from both drivers. Frisch is able to tough it out as they head down through Hogpen, Nick.
Two of the all-time greats in the Lotus 79 on iRacing, putting on two of the all-time great runs. The displays of speed these two are showing right now are just unbelievable. 2 laps to go for these drivers. Frisch leading Vascalampi for 3rd place.
Well, they say don't try this at home when you watch real world motorsport, but do you know what the great thing is? If you have a SimRig at home and iRacing account, after this race, get on there, buy yourself the Lotus 79 and VIR and just drive round and you will get a very quick impression of how impressive this is. Of course, we've got the S16 Lotus liveried car, and I can tell you what, at the time when that livery was in run, this was Lotus were not as competitive as they were with the original 79, but this is just fantastic stuff. Vascalampi, he's right there with 2 to go, but he's going to need to get that exit out of Oak Tree Turn to make his move into the roller coaster. And of course, Vascalampi definitely sliding the car more. That's a typical Finnish thing. It's the rally driving route, sliding that car about. Just fantastic.
Not a great run for Vascalampi there. Is he going to be able to close in here? He's only got 2 attempts left. Only 1 after this one.
Here he goes. He's obviously got the gearing spot on in that car, I think.
But he might not have enough pace to get up alongside of him. Thomas Simone taking the white flag now. He's led every single lap after starting second, taking advantage of Baumann's mistake on the start. Looking for his first win of the season. He goes purple again with a 137.4. So Frisch and Vascalampi have got 1 lap to settle it. For the final step on the podium, Frisch a little bit wide, not wide enough to let Teemu through.
Now Vascalampi's maybe just got the edge in this infield section. You can see here he's right there on the gearbox of Frisch as they head down towards the snake. Now this is just gloves off battle. Oh, mistake from Vascalampi. Big mistake there from Vascalampi, and that could be absolutely vital. Lost 3 or 4 car lengths there, and that could be critical, Nick.
Yeah, just overdriving it just a little bit through the snake, trying to get every inch of the track, and that little bit of that curb just bit him. We'll see. He's strong, aggressive down into Oak Tree Bend. Look at those cars sliding around, almost hitting the inside tire barrier. We're going to ride on board with Teemu Vosklampi. We'll see if he can reel him in. Oh, it's looking like a big gap. It's about 0.7 of a second between the two.
Prix was absolutely perfect there at Oak Tree turn. Got it absolutely spot on and just slingshotted out of that corner.
But here is our leader, Thomas Simon. Out of the final turn, round 2 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series at Virginia International is going to go to Thomas Simon in that number 2 car. From second place, he's going to finish first ahead of Chris Baumann and Gernot Frisch. A strong run up to finish on the final step of the podium, and he's got the fastest lap, a 1:37.3. He'll take home those 2 extra bonus points. Looking back through the field, John Stevens coming across the line. Well, he's not quite up there yet, still going through the snake.
That just shows you how hard Gernot Frisch was pushing there on that last lap to keep Vosklampi behind him, and of course gets the bonus point for his trouble, and that is really, really important for the championship.
This is a battle for 16th. We're watching John Stevens, who has moved up 2 spots in this lap already. He got around Thiele and Freak Tenkata. Tenkata actually not for position here, so he also got around Svein Tore Duas, who I believe went off track just a little earlier. So all these drivers in the mid-pack, man, they put on a great show for us today, but we weren't able to watch it nearly as much as we had to watch that fight between Frisch and Vosklampi. We're going to step aside here on the Global SimRacing Channel for just a few moments. Make sure to keep track of all of the upcoming events sliding across your screen. We'll be back with an official rundown of results and some driver interviews. Welcome back to Alton, Virginia. It's a small town, but today it had a lot of excitement in the virtual world where round 2 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series has just concluded. If you're just joining us, you're going to want to go back and watch that, especially the last 10 laps or so, because we had some great battles between Thomas Simon, who got ahead of Chris Baumann, and Gernot Frisch, who got ahead of Teemu Vosklampi. That's how they'll finish 1, 2, 3, 4. Behind them, it's Mike Rasmus, who bounced back from an earlier mistake. He got back around Pekka Kalahara, who will wind up in 6th. Thomas Torp and Derek Roeleveld will finish 7th and 8th. Great run from Roeleveld, up from 16th there to that number 8 spot. Andy T, great run for him from 7th to outside the top 20, back up to 9th place. And Tobias Rohner is going to round out the top 10. Peter?
As you say, we need to watch that back if you haven't seen it, if you're just joining us. In 11th place in the 31 cars, Michael Duturk. 12th was the number 3 of Alex Millward, who had a great battle through the field in his Williams throwback scheme. In 13th was the number 18 of Paul J. Williams. 14th was 27 of Ivan De Adio. 15th was Warren Chamberlain. 16th, John Stevens. 17th, Christopher Teal. 18th was Sven Torre Duas. 19th was Adnan Desardevic. And 20th was Jean-Francois Boscu.
Behind them, everyone's a lap down. Boskus also a lap down, but it's Robert Simpkins, Steve Sarles, Edmund Blackadder, Freighton Kotz back in 24th. Poor run for him today. Lauren Doolittle, in 25th. Pablo Suarez and Paolo Alberton in 26th and 27th. David Sanchez and Sean Wiltshire, 28th and 29th. Jason Carlo in 30th. DNFs back there and behind. Juanmi Costa, the big notable one, back in 32nd after starting up in 9th place. But with that, we've got our drivers to talk to. We've got our first one, Gernot Frisch, who it's not a win today, but that one, it probably feels like a win, getting around Teemu there at the end.
Yeah, I would say that was an exciting one. Teemu gave it all, and so did I. It was a very close battle, and yeah, very exciting for both of us, and hopefully for you too.
Yeah, it certainly was. I've just got to ask, how scary is that to go side by side all the way through the roller coaster here? It's like a blind turn, especially in these cars so low to the ground, and you just got to trust one another through there.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, it's scary, and you need a lot of trust. But yeah, I know that Teemu is a very capable driver. Even if he fights hard, he gives room. So if both of us don't make a mistake, things can go well, and so they did.
Absolutely. You had a lot of pace today, and I shouldn't be surprised saying that about you, but you kind of got, stuck in that battle with Teemu. Do you think if you had a better qualifying run, you could have contended for the win here?
I don't really think so, because Chris had great pace today, and so the same was with Tamas. Both are really strong drivers, and Tamas is, don't know how he did it today, because Chris had crazy pace. And so, I think winning would have been really, really, really tough for me to do. So I'm quite happy with third place. Big congrats to Tamas and Chris.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we'll see you back on the top step later this season. I'm sure we will. Still got a lot of the season left. But before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
As usual, to the other guys driving this series, it's always great fun, and also for you guys, because the broadcasts are also very, very nice every single week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Awesome stuff. That's Gernot Frisch finishing third place today. We've got another interviewer, the driver who finished just a spot behind him. He's caught up with Peter. It's Teemu Vaskalampi.
Teemu Vaskalampi, I have to say, I've nearly had a heart attack here in the commentary box with that action. I can't imagine what it was like for you from the driver's seat. Tell us about that race. Teemu, do you have a copy? We're just might have a few issues with Teemu's microphone, so hopefully we'll get to hear from him. Aha, okay. Here he is. Teemu, we're just saying that was incredibly exciting and full of heart-raising moments for us in the commentary box. I can't imagine what it was like for you. Tell us what it was like in the driver's seat of your Lotus 79 today.
Yeah, it was exciting, of course, but I know how good driver Gernot is, so I completely trust that he holds his line and doesn't make mistakes in those situations. So it didn't feel dangerous to me. Maybe it felt dangerous to him. I don't know. But yeah, it was exciting. It was very exciting.
Well, I'm sure you won't be surprised to know that he said the very same thing about you. He was the great respect between both of you, and that was something we definitely mentioned a lot in the commentary box. Particularly coming into roller coaster was where it was particularly exciting. Now, it seemed like the lap pace was so close, but there was different parts of the circuit where it looked like one or two of you were faster. Where did you feel strong? Where did you feel weak around that lap today?
I felt when I was behind Jonathan, I felt strong in the slow parts, and especially exit. I don't know the corner names. It's like turn 5 or something. Exit for the kind of back straights that it goes twisting around, and I had like best run for the downhill left-hander corner, but it's just too scary, too risky place to try something. I was thinking of it, but I felt it was too risky. I was just trying to get good exit from the tree corner, but turnout was quite strong there, so it was hard, and I did some mistakes last lap, so wasn't close enough.
And finally, this VIR circuit, as you mentioned, it has a lot of long straights, but a lot of really tight and technical stuff as well. What sort of balance do you look for in your car when you're setting it up? Do you try and get it? Do you try and trim it out and then risk it in the corners, or do you prefer a little bit more tied down, a little bit more high down for setup?
I was going first for just what is fastest lap time wise. But then I had to add some wings to make it more stable. Maybe I added a bit too much. It was quite good to drive still at the end, so maybe a bit less wing would have been better. But I don't know if it would have made a difference. Chris and Thomas were very fast. I felt like at some point of the week our pace maybe wasn't that much apart, but this was first race stint I finished without at least 2 spins. So, yeah, I wasn't quite sure where I was.
Well, I can tell you from where we were sitting, no matter how you had that car set up, it was certainly spectacular to watch with some traditional Finnish sliding oversteer as well. So thank you for that. It was very entertaining. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to on the broadcast?
All the Lotus drivers and you guys broadcasting.
Well, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and hopefully we'll see you here back in the commentary box in the next round.
Yeah, see you.
Well, there you have it, folks. We give a big thank you to both of those drivers for stopping by, Gernot Frisch and Teemu Vaskalampi. With that, we want to give a special thank you to everyone who came out today for the second round of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, including all the drivers who put on the show for us today. An additional thanks to all the amazing companies that provide the software and hardware that we use to create a GSRC production for you. We also, of course, want to thank the very talented June Lalonde, who provides our music. See the screen for more on how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thank you to the crew in the booth today, Peter, Sean, and Dougie. And don't forget to check out the GSRC on social media. You can head over to our website, globalsimracingchannel.com, where you can help show your support by picking up some awesome GSRC merchandise. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, on Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And of course, you've already found our YouTube channel, so if you haven't done so yet, I invite you to scroll down just a touch and hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a second of racing. Speaking of not missing a second of racing, round 2 of the PRL NASCAR Cup Series is up next for GSRC. They'll be racing in the Windy City at Chicagoland tonight at 8:50 p.m. Eastern. And to see more of today's racing, we'll be continuing our southbound journey in the U.S., heading down to Road Atlanta next week for round 3. So be sure to tune into both of those. With all that being said, thanks so much for joining us today, and until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.